Alright, this video is dealing with evolutionary psychology. So, evolutionary psychology is this idea that we are studying how behavior has been shaped because of our evolution. So basically the idea that we have behaviors that we do that are a result of our caveman instincts, right? And what we have continued on from early days of mankind. And it all comes back to Darwin's idea of natural selection, and that of the physical, not only the physical characteristics, but also the psychological characteristics and the behaviors that we do are in the effort of to try and increase reproductive and survival chances. So we are doing specific behaviors and having particular characteristics continue with the intention of that they are going to help us survive as a species and can basically carry on our genetic material. So, evolution, something has gone wrong. We've gone from apes to standing to back down to hunched over a computer. So that's kind of funny. And then it says, natural selection, good things come to those who mate. Because remember, everything is about mating with natural selection. Alright, so one thing to think about as far as natural selection and evolution is concerned is grandparents. These are actually pictures of my grandparents. This is my mom's parents. This is Marvin and Eleanor. They, at the time of this video, are still alive. I actually visited this summer. They are 82 years old, and they live in South Dakota. And then this is an older picture. This one is of my dad's parents. This is Lawrence and Roosevelt. They are both deceased. My grandfather died when I was a sophomore in college, and then my grandmother died in 2008. They died about 10 years apart. I'm going to use them as kind of my example. So here's what I want you to think about is that if you need to pause the video to think about this and to kind of get your thoughts together on this, is that I want you to think about your own grandparents, and I want you to think about kind of placing them in an order as far as which one you are most closest to. And I'm not talking physically closest to. I'm talking like you feel emotionally attached and you feel like emotionally close to. Okay, so kind of put them in order from first, second, third, fourth. So first being obviously whichever grandparent, your paternal, meaning your dad's grandmother or dad's mother, father, your maternal, your mom's mother, and mom's father. So put them in order. You can separate them. So 1, 2, 3, 4. If you have a grandparent that has died, put them in the order of where they would be from when you knew them. If there's a grandparent that they died before you even were early aware of knowing them, you can just keep them out of our hierarchy. And if you have any step-grandparents, you can also put in there. So pause, take a moment, think about it for yourself. If you had to, and we're not sharing this with anybody, but if you had to go and put them in a specific order, how would you order them? So take a minute to do that. Okay, so hopefully you have your order. So the interesting thing is that this is connected to evolutionary psychology, and there is an evolutionary explanation as to why particular grandparents would have a better relationship with some of their grandchildren over others. So evolutionary psychology would place typically this is the order of emotionally closest to your grandparents. The order is first your mom's mom, so that's my grandma Eleanor, then your mom's dad, so my grandpa Marvin, then your dad's mom, so my grandmother Roosevelt, and then your dad's dad, so my grandfather Lawrence. Okay, so question is, why? Why is this according to Darwin's theory? All right, so now You have to kind of go with this and you have to think through this. So according to the evolutionary perspective, here's why. Okay? So we're going to start with mom's mom. Mom's mom, okay, so my mom's mom, is 100% certain that you are her grandchild, because she is 100% certain that your mom is her child, right? Biologically speaking, she knows that your mom came from her, right? As well as, because of that, she could also say with 100% certainty that you are your mother's child. Now, obviously, this is assuming no adoption anywhere in here, right? So she's 100% certain that you are your mom's child because, again, biologically speaking, you came from your mother, right? So, as a result, she's 100% certain that you are her grandchild. So, investing in a relationship with you would then continue her genetic material and her genes. Okay, so that's why mom's mom would be the top one, according to evolutionary psychology, because you're 100% certain that that's your grandchild. On the flip side, on the bottom, dad's dad. Okay, so my dad's dad is not at all 100% certain. He's not sure that you are his grandchild. Okay, because, think about this, okay, your dad's not sure that your dad, okay, so your grandfather is not sure that your dad is his child, okay, and I'm not saying that we're not getting into the whole, fidelity and issue and everything else, but theoretically speaking, okay, he's not 100% certain, because it didn't exactly come from him, he's not 100% certain that your dad is his child, right? As well as, he's not 100% certain that you are your dad's child. Again, there's, could be some things going on and whatever, we won't speculate on that. So that makes sense because he's not 100% certain that you are his grandchild. So as a result, he's going to be emotionally distant to you because he's not 100% certain that you carry his genetic material. So why invest time and energy into a relationship with you? That's the idea, okay? Now, the two in the middle gets a little dicey, okay? People are like, okay, why is it that my mom's dad comes before my dad's mom? Well, there's a couple of issues here. First of all, the first issue is that some people argue that fidelity is going to be more, generally speaking, fidelity is a lot more sketchy when it comes to a younger generation. So your mom's dad is not 100%, but pretty certain that your mom is his child, right? And for sure, you are your mom's child. Whereas here with your mom, your dad's mom, she's 100% certain that your dad is her child, but your dad may not have had you, right? So that's one explanation. The other explanation that I kind of like a little bit more is that for your dad's mom, okay, she may also have daughters, right? So she may also have daughters. So your dad, for example, may have sisters who have children, right? And in that case, she's 100% certain that those kids are going to be her grandkids. So as a result, it makes more sense to put more effort into those relationships because those are people that for example, carry your genetic material or that are carrying on your traits, right? So that's why mom's dad is going to come before dad's mom, all right? For me, I kind of, and this is kind of interesting a thing because, if you think about it, especially if you have cousins, do you have, are there particular, grandparents try not to do this, or at least, shouldn't try to do this, but if you have cousins, have you ever noticed that there may be favored grandkids? Think about that. Are they your grandparents' are they, your grandparents' sons or daughters' kids? Okay? With this theory, the more favored ones would be the daughter's kids, right? So, interestingly enough, for my mom's side, okay, I've already told you that my mom has 3 siblings. None of them have kids, right? So none of them have kids, so it's myself and my siblings that are the only grandkids. As well as, one step further, I am the only one that has kids myself, so I provide the only great-grandkids. So that's also kind of interesting. As far as my dad's side is concerned, my dad is one of 7 kids. All the other kids also are married, they also have kids, and some of them have kids. So, I wouldn't say that I had a horrible relationship with my dad's parents, but I would definitely say that I wouldn't say that I was a favorite, right? I could definitely say that particularly my grandmother tended to favor her daughters more, and probably her daughters' families more. So this is kind of an interesting thing for me. Alright, so take it or leave it for what it is. So let's talk about some other things. What about gender differences in sexuality? Well, your book kind of highlighted some of this, and I wanted to talk about it a little bit more. So men do show greater sexual desire than women. What is the saying that, men think about sex every 7 seconds or something? That is actually not the 7-second part, but it is true that men do actually think about sex more than women do. Women, however, emphasize committed relationships more than men do. Men are much more prevalent to just kind of be willy-nilly, whatever, and women are much more, where's this going? Are we serious? Are we exclusive? Part of this reason, according to evolutionary psychologists, is that men are going with the attitude of, according to evolutionary psychologists, remember, that let's just, spread the net wide, right? So we're going to try and have as much sex as possible to be able to get as many heirs out as possible, so that way, increases the odds of basically your genetic material surviving. Whereas for women can only basically raise 1 child at a time, obviously assuming we're just having 1 baby, we're not having like twins or something. But the thing is that they're investing all they got in this 1 kid. So they want to have a man that will stick around and help them raise this 1 kid, so that they're basically almost kind of like putting all your eggs in 1 basket, almost kind of a thing, 1 basket at a time, right? Whereas men is kind of like, let's put them all out there, right? So that's the idea of evolutionary psychology of why men and women do these things. They've also noticed that aggression is also linked to more sexuality for men than women. Men are much more sexually aggressive than women are. They have lots of nasty names for women that are sexually aggressive, whatever you think about that. But that is a general link. And again, evolutionary psychologists, look at it and explain that, that's an evolutionary trait of men. And then women's ideas about sexuality do change over time as they have more experience with society and culture and situations. So, for example, when women go off to college, it is not uncommon for women to go into college with a specific attitude and thoughts about sex, and then they have different discussions with different people and different relationships and different situations, and they may change their minds, for better or for worse. Okay. Now the interesting thing is that the last part of it I was going to talk about was the Coolidge Effect. The Coolidge Effect was actually about the president, the former president, Calvin Coolidge, and Calvin Coolidge had a little story that went along with his wife, and they supposedly, I guess, went to tour a farm. And Mrs. Coolidge was said to have been impressed by the untiring sexual activity of one rooster, and apparently this one rooster was very sexually active. And so Mrs. Coolidge said, you might point that out to Mr. Coolidge, she told the farmer. And hearing her hearing of her remark, the president asked the farmer whether a different hen was involved each time. When informed that indeed that this was the case, so this rooster is actually having sex with multiple different hens, Mr. Coolidge replied, President Coolidge said, "You might point that out to Mrs. Coolidge." So the interesting thing is that they were basically talking about how sexual desire basically kind of fades, I guess, as you are tied more to one person. So some evolutionary psychologists use this as an explanation as to, for example, men do this, not women, but why men, for example, wander to something, something new and different. New and different is always better than old and the same. Not saying that you're old, but, the same stuff. I found this this interesting because it definitely applied to this guy here. If you don't know who that is, that's Hugh Grant. This was a while ago. At the time, he was dating Elizabeth Hurley. This was Elizabeth Hurley. It was a supermodel and actress, and they were dating, and they'd been dating for a while. And then all of a sudden, Hugh Grant was caught with a prostitute. And a lot of people are like, "Are you crazy? Are you nuts? Hello, Elizabeth Hurley. Why would you ever cheat on her?" But a lot of people said this is a prime example of the Coolidge Effect. Get tired of one person. So a lot of people use this also as an example of why evolutionary psychology has its limits. People are like, well, now you're just going and giving people an excuse to cheat, right? So a lot of problems with evolutionary psychology as far as, you're basically taking one effect and working backwards. And you're also ignoring any societal trends, any differences in culture. Those are legit problems with evolutionary psychology. So I just wanted to be able to explain how that works. Now you make the judgment as to whether you agree with it or not. All right, that's it for now. Let me know if you have any questions.